Hey everyone! So I've been telling my family and friends for the longest time that I was going to do a video about my spiritual awakening journey, and I was hoping that I can get everything in one video, but unfortunately I cannot. So I'm going to break this down into two separate parts, and it's also going to help people get to know the real me. So the first part is going to be about me and kind of kickstarted my spiritual awakening and the things that God has brought me through, especially in that season. And the second part is going to be about me operating with my spiritual gifts, discerning people, situations, making fast decisions, and loving day. So if you've had similar experiences, please let me know in the comments. And if you're uncomfortable with people talking about anything that has to do with spirituality, anything spiritual, then this is probably not the video for you to watch. I'm going to take this back to 2018. Everything pretty much kickstarted. So this is between 2018 and 2020. So those of you who don't know, in 2018 I lost one of my brothers, and a couple of months before he passed away, the Holy Spirit pretty much told me that I was going to lose a brother. Now, the Holy Spirit didn't say who or how it's going to happen. I just knew that I was getting ready to lose one of my brothers. So obviously I couldn't confide in my family because they don't know how to deal with death or any type of situations like that. So I confided in my girlfriend about it. And it was just so intense, it just kept coming up like, hey, it's getting ready to happen, it's getting ready to happen, prepare yourself. So when it did happen, the state of shock wasn't as strong for me because I already had this inner knowing about what was getting ready to happen. Not to say that it didn't hurt, it still hurt me. But I prepared myself for the pain. So shortly after my brother passed away, there was a series of deaths that started to happen around me. I lost a good friend of mine. I lost my godfather. So mentally, I was just checked out. So I decided to go and get help, obviously. And I ended up being diagnosed with anxiety. I started going to therapy. I started having panic attacks and anxiety attacks. I had anxiety to the point where my heart was constantly like this, right, the whole time. It was really never a time when my heart was just relaxed. I was just constantly in a stressful state, unless I was with my family, my immediate family, or by myself. Those are only two times. If you ever had anxiety, you can have panic attacks at any time. Like even now, I'm still kind of iffy about being around crowds of people, but shortly after that happened, I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna let my fears get in the way of my life, So I was like, you know what? I went on vacation with a group of my friends. We went out of the country to Panama. So as soon as I got back, my cousin was like, hey, I met this guy. I want you to meet him. He's a really good guy. I ended up meeting the guy. And on our first day, he came pick me up from my family's house. And I saw him and I was like, okay, he's definitely my type. Looks-wise, he's definitely my type. So we went on a date. We had an amazing chemistry. We hit things off very well. But everything was moving very fast, okay? There's a lot of passion there. Can't deny that. But slowly but surely, we got to know each other on a deeper level, and we started operating, moving like we were in a relationship. I'm meeting his families, hanging out with my family, running errands together. We're going over our goals, working out, hanging out with other friends, family events. Things were cool, and it was good to have a man around, but at the same time, I expressed him, let me know what you have going on, because I'm at my most vulnerable state of life. I just want to, be more aware of what's going on. I expect people to keep things 100. And at the same time, I'm asking him, what are we doing? Because obviously we're both catching feelings, so what's going on? So when we had that conversation, he kind of panicked, and he was like, oh, that means we have to talk about marriage and long-term commitment and stuff like that. So he was like, I can give you everything but the title of a relationship. So I was like, okay, red flag. So after we had a conversation, I kind of just like slowly started distancing myself away from him, because I was like, yeah, I'm not doing a situationship. Like, I'm grown as fuck. Like, it shouldn't have never even gotten this far in the beginning. So in the midst of me putting my foot down, and mind you, I was celibate, and I was living a very peaceful and healing life before he came. And I developed a very, 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 very strong soul tie to this man. So I really had to fight that off and moving forward, moving away from him. So in the midst of this, one day he tells me that he's going on vacation with his sister. I was like, okay, cool. Have a good time. You know, we're still moving as friends. And while he was on vacation, I was like, you know, send me some pictures, you know, show me what you're up to. He's like, yeah, go look on my Instagram. It's on my story. I looked on the story. There was no videos for me to watch. So I was like, okay, cool. So my lady intuition starts kicking in, and I was like, all right, something is just not adding. So I started looking through his page, and I noticed that there's this one woman who liked all of his photos. So I was like, okay, let me go see who this is. I click on the girl's page. I go to her Instagram. I noticed that she has a YouTube channel. I go to her YouTube channel, and the first thing that I see is a video of him and her on vacation together. I start scrolling, and I see videos, like a collection of videos of him and her from months ago, like way before he met me, making out, doing a couple challenges, all this shit. So my petty ass, I commented on one of the videos, and I was like, wow, what a beautiful black couple. So shortly after, he hit me up while he was on vacation, like, yo, what are you doing? We had a little tit for tat. Crazy, you're this, you're that. And I was like, you know what? You got God, bro. It's okay. You got caught. So at the time, there was no closure for the situation. I just completely shut down. I moved away. I blocked him. I was like, no. I said, I was just so disgusted with myself because I let the snake get close to me at a time, like I said, where I was most vulnerable and I was weak, you know. And I asked him to keep 100 from the beginning about what he had going on. So nothing. And it also triggered me in feeling like this sense of rejection because I didn't get chosen. So now I'm dealing with depression. I'm going to therapy even more now. And I was like, listen, give me all that you got. Give me all the medication. Because I don't like feeling like I have all these emotions and then now I got to deal with this shit. So in the midst of me healing and trying to break this soul tie and dealing with this, my grandfather passes away. And we're pretty sure that it was COVID because shortly after he passes away, I ended up getting sick, and I remember having all the conditions that he had. And this is around where Trump was like, oh, coronavirus isn't here. But obviously it was here because there are people in the hospitals walking around with masks. But at the time, we weren't putting two and two together. So I almost didn't make it to his funeral because I was super sick. But I made it. And shortly after I beat COVID, what happens? I get right back up on my feet. I'm leaving work, and I'm heading to the parking lot. I'm maybe like 10 feet away from the parking lot, and I get hit by a car. Everything happened so fast, and the crazy thing is the girl drove the fuck off. She stopped for a minute to see if I was good, and then the bitch drove off. I was laying on the ground. I was like, yo, somebody get the license plate, somebody get the license plate, somebody get the license plate. Nobody got the license plate. Well, some girl did, but the photo was so blurry, you couldn't make out the license plate number or anything like that. So I'm laying on the floor. Everyone's crying around me. They're like, are you okay? Are you okay? I'm just like, I think I'm okay. So I get up. I noticed I had bruises on my leg and I was bleeding. And I was like, all right, I gotta call the ambulance. Fuck it. So I call the ambulance. And of all the people in the world, who do I get? My girlfriend. My girlfriend. She's 911 operator, and she lives down the block from me. I'm like, yo, Tip, is this you? I recognize your voice. She said, yeah. I said, well, I just got hit by a car, so I need an ambulance to come and get me. So the ambulance comes, and I'm back in the hospital with all the COVID patients. Whole time, I just fought off COVID, and now I'm back here with all these sick people surrounding me. Racking up hospital bills. I was like, oh my God, why me? Why are you doing this to me? I get back up on my feet, and now I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna go live with my family for a little bit, because after that, I was paranoid as fuck. Paranoid as fuck, okay? I said, people out here dying, got COVID going around, getting hit by cars, I'm dealing with depression. I said, I'm not going outside. I'm just not going outside. Fuck it, I'm not going outside. Everybody leave me alone. I don't want to talk to nobody. I don't want to deal with nobody. I was like, just leave me alone. I was up in my room, panicking, going back and forth, crying. I'm like, what? Trying to understand, like, what is going on, God? What is going on? So church was still open, and one day I went to church with my family, and I was sitting down, and I was getting ready to have a panic attack, and I guess the lady next to me, she could feel it. So I looked to my left, and I was getting ready to walk out, and not have my medication with me at the time. So I was about to walk out, and she literally blocked me, and she grabbed me, and she was like, I just want to let you know that God is just so proud of you. He's just so proud of you. And she looked like she was about to cry. So I was like, you. I appreciate that. In my head, I'm like, you have no idea what I'm going through. Obviously to her. And I was just like, thank you. Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. Not knowing that was a sign, but I was like, okay. So shortly after that happens, I received three different DMs from these prophets. And I've never met these people before in my life. And their pages are deleted now. I don't know how they even found me. But one of the messages said, you're going to be fruitful in all seasons, and that my ancestors would be helping me through these evil forces that may try to come my way or something like that, right? And then the other message was, my enemies wouldn't see me in the midst because God created me with a divine component, integrated purpose. And I forgot what the last one was. But mind you, he said enemies. I didn't know I had enemies, but we're going to come back to that later in part 2. So I was like, okay, I was getting all the downloads, all the spiritual messages, like, okay, that's confirmation. So at that time I was like, you know what, let me just let go and let God, because clearly I'm not in control, and that's my biggest thing, not being in control of my life aggravates the shit out of me. But I was like, you know what, forget it. So I started reading my Bible more, and God started doing things to me in my dream state, even the people around me as well. So God, one of my friends told me, he was like, I had a dream about you and you were surrounded by these black angels. Not like black angels, but like, you know, like black angels said they were like protecting you. So I was like, okay, cool, thank you. So let me tell you how I know he wasn't lying. One night, well, really in the morning, I don't know what to call it, but I know it's a technical term, but there's this middle state. There's a state when you're sleeping, and there's a state when you're about to wake up, and there's this middle state in between. And it's often in this middle state is where I usually receive, you know, these downloads, these dreams, these spiritual messages. Right before I'm about to wake up, I hear footsteps. Someone's coming into my room. My door's closed, locked, and everything. I don't think anything up. The footsteps, they get closer and closer to me. The person stops, they come, and they sit on my bed. Like, I feel my bed. I feel someone come and sit on the edge of my bed. My eyes are still closed. I'm not thinking anything of it. My hand is hanging off the bed. The person comes and they grab my hand and they squeeze my hand. Still have my eyes closed. I'm like, okay, maybe this isn't real. So I squeeze the hand, and the hand squeezes me back, and the hand is cold. So I immediately knew that that was a spirit. And on top of that, I already knew who that was, and that was my grandmother. She's one of my guardian angels. So right before my grandmother passed away, well, really while she was dying, we had a beautiful moment where we held hands. Even now, even up to this day, when I was really at my lowest point of life, I would get this hand. She would come and touch me in my back, like on a certain way. And sometimes she would just come just to reassure me. Sometimes she would come to even just push me to like nag me to get up. Some days I would not get out of the bed, and she would come and just push me. And whenever I need confirmation, or whenever I just need like spiritual guidance, she will come and let me know that she's walking with me on this journey of life. When I'm at my lowest of low, she will always come, and she only touches me in certain ways, so I know it's her. So that was extra confirmation again about what I was going through. And she's come to me before. The first time she came to me, I was not prepared. But we're gonna talk about that on a separate video. But like I said, this was extra confirmation. So I was like, okay, you know what? Clearly, this is deeper than a mental issue that I'm going through. It's like a rite of passage ceremony, in a sense. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to let go, let God do what he's doing. So I threw out my medication, and I just really started getting closer to God. Me and my mom, we made this pact that we would start saying daily prayers and daily affirmations, because she started freaking out too about all these deaths and stuff. Even our dog died. So we started saying affirmations and daily prayers. So one of them for me was, dear God, I submit my mind, heart, body, and will to you. Help me to see clearly what your plan is for me. Help me to stay close to you always, not living in the past of regret, pain, hurt, fear, and worry, but pressing forward to all the new things you have in store for me. So I ended up manifesting a whole new life from that one prayer, and I still say it to this day. I say it every day. So shortly after that happened, we're in the car, me, my dad, my mom, and we're headed towards my grandmother's house. She lives in Denmark, South Carolina, in the low country. So there's one way in and there's one way out. My brother, he's driving. He's a newly experienced driver. So we figure, you know, away from all the traffic. We're in the low country. We don't have to worry about anything happening. So he's driving, and we noticed that the car in front of us, suddenly just stopped short. So we all see it. We're like, Miles, hello, there's a car. He just stopped short. Stop the car, stop the car. Hit the brake, hit the brake. So my brother, he didn't have enough time to brake. So my dad, he's in the passenger seat. He takes the wheel and he swerves out into the next lane where the lady is coming out. So he didn't realize that there was a car coming. That girl, she was probably doing maybe like 70 miles per hour. And she was headed directly towards us. So when we got hit, I'll probably attach the photo after the video. But when we got hit on the rear tail end of the car. So it was probably like maybe like this much space. Yeah, like this much space where we got hit. If she would have hit us closer towards the median, like the passenger median side, we probably would have did barrels down the highway. I kid you not. And I thank God for that. Literally right before the accident, that's another thing. My mom, she said her prayer around like 7 o'clock. It was maybe 2 or 3 minutes before the accident happened. Right before we got hit, right before the impact, there was a moment of silence, and all I heard was my brother punching the gas. All I heard was, "Roo." I have to ask him if he remembers even hitting the gas, but I thank God every day for that moment, because the car just ended up hitting us on the tail end. So we ended up spinning off into a side road. And the girl in the car, she ended up fracturing her pelvis, ended up dislocating my wrist. My mom, she ended up having some issues with her neck. My brother and my dad, they had some back issues. So guess where I ended up? Back in the ambulance and back to the motherfucking hospital. All night. I had to go to physical therapy. My family, they start panicking again. They're like, "Oh my God, this stuff keeps happening. What's going on?" I'm like, "Y'all, we're gonna be okay. It's all a part of the journey. We're gonna be okay." And at that point, I was like, there is nothing in life that can break me. I said, there's nothing in life that can break me. Nothing. So the very next day, I get back to work. I didn't even tell my boss that I was in a car accident. I didn't tell anybody. Well, my close friends, they knew, right? The next day I go into work, and my boss is like, "So I have some bad news." I'm like, "All right, shoot your best shot. What you got for me?" He's like, "So because of the pandemic and COVID, unfortunately, a lot of people are being let go, and your name was caught in the umbrella. So unfortunately, we won't be able to extend your contract again." I was like, all right, another thing to add to my list, on top of being depressed, and on top of me dealing with mental and physical health issues, because I also gained a bunch of weight because of my depression. Now I have to deal with finding a new job. And then on top of that also, I had to find a new place to live because my lease was up. And I wasn't paying an extra arm and leg to stay in my 1-bedroom apartment. So I was like, okay, bet, bring it on. I can handle this shit, bring it on. So I started hustling. I was like, listen, I worked at Amazon, but just for 3 days. Just for 3 days. Those shift hours were crazy. It was really insane. I don't know how y'all do that. Kudos to you. In those 3 days, once again, God was showing how he was working moving. I met the most amazing people, and those people were going through the same exact thing that I was going through. I met a guy who worked in IT. Same thing happened to him. He got let go of his job, and he was trying to find a new place to live. I met a lady. She was a business owner. She lived off of her restaurant. Whole business got shut down. She was like, I gotta make money, so I gotta work. I'm working at Amazon. So we were all on the same path. We're going through these different changes. Also really weird for me because everything just kept hitting me at once. Even my childhood trauma was coming up. One of my girlfriends, she touched me a certain way, and I just started bawling. Like, out of nowhere, I just started crying. I was like, oh my God, why is this coming up right now? So I don't need this right now. But she also had childhood trauma, so we were just like healing each other, just talking about it and stuff like that. A lot of my girlfriends, we were going through the same exact life experiences. So I kept sending them scriptures, calling them, checking on them, and I was like, we're gonna be okay, y'all. It's all a part of God's journey. Just let go. Just let God scalp us. Let him do what he has to do so we can get to the next level. I can't even tell you how many friends told me, confessed to me that they tried to commit suicide during the pandemic. So even though I was going through what I was going through, I still made my mission to go through baby showers, weddings, family events, and stuff like that, because I would still want my family members and friends to be there for me as well, if they were going through the same thing. My family, people were asking me, like, are you okay? Like, they knew something was wrong with me, and I was like, honestly, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be okay, but God has me here, and I'm going through this stuff for a reason, so I just have to keep moving forward. The beauty in all of this was, well, yeah, I worked at Amazon for like 3 days. And I also did Instacart for like less than a month. I had to leave because I was getting ready to fight my boss, because she was like really on 10. She was really testing my gangster, and I was like, I don't want to have to kill you. I said, I'm not in my mental state of mind, so I need to leave because I don't trust myself. I left, and God was telling me the whole time just to sit my ass down and heal, but I kept panicking and I wasn't listening because I just bought a brand new car in 2020 and 2020. I said, I can't be out here with no job with a brand new car and I have to find a place to live. I was like, no, I need to go to work. The thing is, I didn't have to work. God was just telling me to sit down because He's going to provide everything else for me. When I tell you I always had money, throughout that journey, I didn't have to ask anybody for a nickel, dime, penny, or nothing, because money kept coming to me. I had returns, I had investments that I made, I had money from school. My unemployment didn't kick in until after this was done. Money was just always coming to me in mysterious ways. Never had to ask nobody for a nickel, dime, penny, nothing, no loan, nothing. All my bills, everything was still on. It got to the point where I was out one night with one of my girlfriends at the time, and I just needed to get out the house, just get some fresh air or whatever like that. They had a live band, and I was just sitting there listening to music. This man, never met this man before in my life, he walks over and he says, dinner's on me tonight, and he puts $100 on the table. And I need that money for groceries. So I was like, God, I'm telling you, I never had to want for a nickel, dime, penny, or nothing. God always made a way for me. In the midst of this, I ended up moving, ended up getting a new place, and that worked out well. And like I said, I didn't have no job. I had a car note, brand new car. I still had bills to pay. By the grace of God, though, nothing went off. I was able to provide and feed myself. All I had to do was just let go and continue to walk forward and not look back, because God was providing everything for me. So I did get a job, but it didn't start until November. So I didn't have a real job for maybe 3 months. So by the time the job started up, I don't really give a crap what they was talking about. I was like, listen, I'm here for the check. I'm about to scam y'all, okay? I'm not interested in what y'all have to offer. I'm gonna milk this out until I get my real job, okay? I'm not here for that. So the milk carton slowly getting low, slowly getting empty. So I remember just applying to jobs like crazy. And I would just get so close to the end. The second or third round, they would be like, oh, I'm sorry, just weren't what we were looking for. Like, you know what, God, you're in control. It's not my concern, whatever, I let go. I was like, I have money for the next couple of rent bills, but after that, I have a car note, I don't know what's going on, right? All these things hitting me at once, right? So I started panicking, and my unemployment still didn't kick in. So the thing with this job was, you had to pass the test in order for you to keep the job. So Judgment Day came upon us, and I was sitting in the waiting room. People were pinging each other back and forth, like going over trivia questions and studying, and I was on the side typing up my resignation letter, like, I appreciate what you guys have done for me, but this isn't gonna work out. Because I know I'm not gonna pass this test. I was not paying attention the whole time. So I'm sitting in the waiting room. I'm next up in the waiting room, getting ready to go, getting ready to take the test. I hear my phone going off. I answer the phone, and they're like, hey, this is Maya. I'm like, yeah, this is me. They're like, hey, so this is so-and-so with so-and-so. We just want to let you know that you got the job. What? The crazy thing is, I have no recollection of applying for that job, for the company I work for the position. I was just like, okay, thank you. I remember doing interviews, but I don't remember applying to this job at all. And they were like, well, you can start as early as next week. I was like, yes, absolutely. Salary, benefits, everything, and I get to work from home. So I was like, okay, great. So I hung up the phone. I just remember like bawling, crying. I said, God, you come through again for me, again, down to the last second, me sitting in the waiting room, getting a phone call about a new job. So I shut my laptop and I was like, I made it. I was still panicking because I was like, it's still gonna take me a minute to get into the system. Unemployment, I don't have it. So I'm like, what am I gonna do? Go downstairs and go sit in the mailbox. My unemployment money is sent for me in the mailbox. So like I said, and I had to worry about anything. God was like, do you trust me? Do you trust me? Do you trust me? Let go and just walk and let me do everything for you. Let me scalp you so you can get to the next level. And I know it's difficult. I know it's hard to get to the next level, but if you just keep moving forward and you don't look back, God is gonna. So anyway, like I was saying, during this time, my spiritual gifts started to increase, but I'm gonna talk about that more in part 2. But one of my spiritual gifts, like as we discussed earlier, is the gift of prophecy. God has a way of speaking to me through my dreams. And like I said again, that's gonna be heavily in part 2. That's where I get my confirmation. So one of these dreams that I had, I was standing on the pier and I was watching the ocean. It looked like a storm had just finished clearing up and the waves were still choppy. So I looked to the left and I noticed these huge, massive ships coming out of the water, coming out from out of the ocean. And they were huge, like massive, bigger than whales. That's how big these ships were. They had different little faces on them. Looks like something out of Pixar, right? Or Disney. And it was a grandma and a grandpa. And they had like barnacles. They were so cute. And they come out of the water. They were looking at me. They were just like, whew, girl, we done come a long way for you. That's how they were looking at me, like, girl, we done traveled a long way for you. And they thought right next to me. And I was just like, hi. So when I woke up, I started Googling. I was like, what does that mean when your ship's coming? Like, what is the spiritual meaning behind that? So after the research and stuff that I did, they started talking about how it was a good omen and it meant good fortune and positivity. It was a lot of good things attached to it. So shortly after I had that dream, maybe like a week or 2 later, I get a phone call from my insurance company about my settlement. And they're like, hey, Maya, so your settlement just came in. Can you check your email? We just want to verify everything with you, right? We're going to go over the offer letter. So we're going to offer you a little $1,000. I said, how much? They said, yeah, we're gonna offer you a little $1,000. Just look it over, sign, you can have your money next couple days. The whole time, I racked up so many hospital bills, okay? And I kept panicking. I'm like, how am I gonna pay this? I'm gonna pay my insurance for really covering all of it, therapy and those other extra expenses. I didn't have to worry. I didn't have to worry about any of that because they gave me a check for over $1,000. And I was able to put the money towards my bills and whatever else I wanted to do after. All I had to do was just walk and just not worry. I know that's so difficult, but God was like, I got you. Once again, do you trust me? Do you trust me? Let go. Let me do what I'm doing. It's a plan. And it worked out for me. The ships coming in was also a precursor for everything that was getting ready to happen in my life. So I forgot to mention that a couple of months after I had the dream and received the money, I bought a pack of gum. The very first gum wrapper said this, confirmation. Because it wasn't just money. It was a precursor for all the new things that God was getting ready to present to me, all the new paths that He showed me in my dream. So God was revealing people to me, which decisions I had to make regarding these people. I just defeated a final boss. I just closed out a major cycle in my life. When I tell you the devil was working hard, like he was sending his agents to come and like really try to throw me off balance. You see what I mean? You see where the video cut off? But anyway, like I said, I met a lot of people who really hated me because I love myself and I chose peace and holiness and purity over toxicity. Y'all gonna hear more of what I have to say in part 2. Like I said, hopefully in the next couple of months, I can really dive in and talk about everything about love and dating and discernment and really understanding and knowing how to deal with situations, life situations that come up like this. But yeah, I'm just going to end it here before I run out of storage again. So thank you guys for tuning in and listening. I know it was really crazy, but just stay tuned for part 2. And I appreciate y'all. God bless.